Well, the elections in Anambra are still far away, 2025, because the administration of Chukwuma Soludo, the current governor, will come to an end in 2026. And then, of course, you almost doubt whether he will not run for re-election. But the background to this conversation is the fact that Anambra election is an interesting one. Since 1999, it's been an interesting journey for them. They've had some of the people that have been governor for the shortest number of days, as low as 14 days. So let's break it down for you. Mbadenuju, that man, Nchimoke, if we can go back to the first slide, Chimoke Mbadenuju became governor in 1999 to 2003. His administration there was tumultuous issues, and in fact, he didn't get a ticket to run for a second term. Chris Ngige came into the fray, and of course, he's from Anambra Central. But even his was contentious because Peter Obi went to court, and 3 years he was in court and finally got the judgment that he is the rightful person that won that election. He took over in 2006, but this is the twist. Just 8 months or 9 months into Peter Obi's administration, he was impeached by the House of Assembly. That's where Virginia Tiaba, the lady, came in from Anambra South. But Peter Obi was restored by the court sometime in February 2007, I should say. In 2007, there was an election. Andy Uba from Anambra South won that election and was handed over to. But Peter Obi went to court and said to the Supreme Court, look, my administration was supposed to start in 2003, but I started in 2006. I have 3 more years. The Supreme Court agreed. And Andy Uba ended up being a governor for about 2 weeks or 14 days, if you will. And that's how Peter Obi ran for re-election in 2010 and eventually left office in 2014. So his 8 years was interrupted. But the first man to run for 8 complete years, we're just talking numbers here, not the performance of the governors. Willie Obiano he was governor from 2014 all the way to 2022 before the election that came in and brought in Chukwuma Soludo. So you can see their senatorial districts, how they came about. So if you look at it critically, if I have my next slide, it tells you how the governance of the state has been across senatorial districts. So you see, 8+ years. The reason I say 8+ years, because when you add the Virginia Tiaba as well as Andy Uba, no matter how minimal, they were there. And then Anambra North, 8 years, 11 years for Anambra Central. And now an advocacy group within the APC is calling that this zoning must stay within the Anambra South, where Chukwuma Soludo is from, for fairness and equity. We've been joined on the program by Mr. Mike Mbanefo. He's an APC chieftain from Anambra City. Joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Mbanefo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
The very first thing I want to find out from you, interestingly, is Anambra election gets very intense and at some point even dangerous. You want to explain to us why that is?
Well, with regards to Anambra election and its tumultuous nature, all these things come as a result of people not sticking to agreements. For instance, when it was a turn from 1999 till the time of Obiano, the Northern Senatorial District has never been on the seat of governance in the state capital. Now, there was this agreement chaired by Honorable Justice Obidigwe, who championed the cause that there is need for the Anambra North Senatorial District to be allowed to at least present a candidate for to be a governor. Coincidentally, Peter Obi then put his feet down and said, yes, it is proper for that agreement to see the light of the day. And as it were, the North was able to present Obiano, who went for 8 years. Currently, the agitation now is that there's nothing like zoning, which is a very surprising presentation from anybody, no matter who is making that assertion. There was that agreement on ground.
So, I know that in the APC constitution, they've always started the fact that there is no zoning in the APC, which the party you belong to. So, Why raise the issue of zoning when it's constitutionally inconsistent with your party?
Coincidentally, what anybody should face is what will benefit the populace of Anambra citizens. It is not about what is in the constitution of APC party. It is what is agreed. Even a blind man, even a deaf person, even the commonest person on the streets of Anambra knows that there's that agreement for people, for there to be rotational governance. And funny enough, it was that cause was championed by Anambra North. I am from Anambra North Senatorial District. And several of such meetings were done, hence the emergence of Tony Nwoye at the time when he clinched the ticket of the party at that time. So it would be ridiculous and for anybody to say that because of whatever constitution, no political party has any rotation. Even the Nigerian constitution does not have any rotational anything. But what we do is because of the clamor from the north, that marginalization. You cannot finish crying about clamor and suddenly, for marginalization, and suddenly you want to marginalize those who felt that, yes, you need to be accommodated to be able to at least exercise your own governance franchise. An attempt to deviate from that will bring anarchy. I must be fair, I should be speaking for Anambra Northern Senatorial District, but truth be told, I don't think that people like Honorable Justice Obidigwe will want to even have anybody come to tell him that such an agreement never took place. There are things that are implied. There are things that normally is not envisaged that will happen. If the situation of the country is proper the way it's supposed to be, we shouldn't be having problem with this kind of things. Unfortunately, the Anambra North seem to have the weaker destiny. The population is towards the central and the south. So if we didn't do that agreement, there would have been no way till this day that the Northern Senatorial District would have had that chance.
Two questions. I'm trying to race against time. I want to take as much questions as possible. Two questions. Isn't it too early in the day? We have Edo, we have Ondo. This is still very far away. Isn't it too early in the day to begin to rattle the polity with all of this? And which zone is trying to produce a candidate to run against Professor Chukwuma Soludo instead of instead of the candidate coming from Anambra South?
You see, whether the Chukwuma Soludo's government is being challenged by any senatorial district, what matters is whether you are APGA, whether you're APC, whether you're PDP, whether you're Labour. The fact is that the turn for the people to present the candidate is from the South. So it's left for the South to say, I want to continue with Soludo, or I want to choose an alternative candidate depending on the party that is fielding the person. So it's not about earliness per se, it's about what is presented before us at the moment. There are questions that if you don't answer them, you may confuse the people at the time when it is required for that issue to be resolved.
So other people may be thinking, the people who are not within the zones, and we've had conversations with politicians where we raise the issue of equity and fairness and zoning. For those who are raising the question of, rather than look at issue of equity, let's look at performance. Merits and all of these other elements are important to good governance. Shouldn't that be the most important element in this conversation, first of all, before we get to the issue of equity?
Well, when it comes to merit, APC had all it takes to field a candidate from the South. When you talk about merit, they've done very well. Most of the people who have ruled Anambra State before are very meritorious. Even the candidates that are coming out from the South are also very qualified, very, very qualified, extremely qualified.
Now, let me take you away a bit, digress a bit, because the APGA is still in charge of the state, Anambra State. As a matter of fact, there was a time APGA was across the southeastern state. It looks like, in honor of the Ikemba of Nnewi Odumegwu Ojukwu, APGA is the ancestral home of Anambra, rather, is the ancestral home of APGA. How does the APC want to play into that to even have a chance to unseat anybody who is from the ABGA party?
Well, interestingly, persons like Peter Obi and even most of the people who are in APC now, they were all products of ABGA and some other parties. At least I recall that sometime in the lifetime of His Excellency Ikemba Nnewi, that's in the person of Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, I recall when he said, "This is my last wish." And that is when he was requesting that Peter Obi should be voted. And Peter vowed never to leave ABGA. But he left ABGA and still won election. Even while ABGA, he was the person that first won election under PDP and went into ABGA. The truth of the fact is that when you have many vehicles to be registered and you don't have a plate number that will accommodate all of them, you can take the next state plate number. It doesn't vitiate the fact that your car is your car. Political party and political nomenclature is a different thing altogether when it comes to personality. Yes.
So at the end of the day, let me just ask you a straight question, because I always ask this question whenever people who want to come and take over power come to the show. What are Soludo's failings that your party is seeing that you feel that, okay, this is going to be a good one to use to pitch against him and get him out of the seat?
Anambra State is a very peculiar state with very disastrous security issues. These are not for lecturers or professors or any catechists to come and address. You need somebody who has the capacity, who has the sagacity, who understands the street, who understands what it takes to take out all these miscreants from the street and not violate other people's rights. The issue is that there are so many things that are undone. For example, I come from the northern part of Anambra State. I come from Onitsha. I have not seen anything that has been done other than making some very funny laws left, right, and center that is not making. I'm not impressed with anything. So there are so many things to take out when it comes to that. So many things to take. I just don't want to undermine anybody, but if you ask any Anambra person, every other political party is getting ready to make sure that the incumbent leaves the seat.
That you want to do without trying to push up for a campaign necessarily. Maybe one or two things you think that he's not doing right that you think the party, the APC, can do.
He is very complacent with security, I'm sorry.
That's your view?
That's my view. That's what I know.
What security
the
are you talking about?
only safe town in Anambra State today.
Mbanefo, just hold on, Mr. Mbanefo. Is it the security in the state or the security across the zone? Because literally all of the Southeast states, they are still dealing with the issue of IPOB sit-at-home issue.
Not every, like in Onitsha, for example, there are clear movements in Onitsha. And just Onitsha per se, between Onitsha axis and partially Obaru area. Every other place is a no-go area.
So, for instance, let me also ask you, are there names you're already considering that are going to give him a run for his money?
There are names, of course. For example, in Anambra State today, if it comes to APC, I do not think there is any other person that will come or has come or can come that will beat the person of Senator Ifeanyi Ubah. I don't think so.
But he lost in the last election. Okay, not him. It's Andy Ubah that lost in the last election. So is this more like pushing for Ifeanyi Ubah to run for governor in 2025?
I will wish he runs. I will wish he runs. You see, when a man emerges out of nothing, you can imagine what he will do if he given the opportunity out of something. He has the capacity.
All right, so how much of in-house collaboration is going on with the APC? Because I know, I stand to be corrected, Andy Ubah tried it the other time and it didn't succeed. Now you're calling new names in all of this. But housekeeping has to be done first in ensuring that everybody is on board. And clearly, with your approach, everybody seems not to be on board. And if you go into a battle with a divided house, you clearly already know the answer to that question?
Well, coincidentally, Ifeanyi is a person who can bring people together. He is a person who can reach out. He is a person who understands what it takes and the importance of reaching out. The truth be told, if in a household, a royal household, you have a houseboy, when the king dies, he doesn't have an heir. It doesn't give an edge for the servant to become the heir to the throne. Something has to be done. So that's exactly what it is.
All right. Mr. Mike Banefo, APC chief saying from Anambra State. There's still a long way to go in this conversation. But we must thank you for coming on the program and airing your view, and we wish your party the very best. We always wish every party the very best. It's a level playing field. It's democracy. Everybody has opportunity to have their say. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.